And we're back. Each year, the month of April is dedicated to fair housing. And here in Houston, that means a commitment to equal opportunity for everybody.
And this morning, we want to specifically talk about the renting community within Greater Houston. We are now joined by Ruth López Turley, the director for the Kinder Institute for Urban Research at Rice University. Talk more about this super important topic. Thank you so much for being here with us this morning.
Thank you for the invitation. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, lots to get to. So
yes.
When it comes to the Greater Houston housing market, tell us about that. Tell us about the ratio of renters to owners at this point.
Well, at this point, the percentage of people, percentage of households actually, that are renting has been increasing quite a bit over recent years. In Harris County, that percentage is about 45%. So 45% of households in Harris County are renters as opposed to homeowners. In the city of Houston, it's even higher. It's more like 58%. So the city of Houston is actually, we're majority renters. And a lot of people don't realize that, but we actually have more renters than homeowners in the city of Houston. And we expect that that percentage will continue to increase for Harris County as well. Our projections suggest that we will continue to have an increasing percentage of renters.
So what are some of the risks maybe associated with that, with having a community that's people not just renting, but we're also seeing a higher portion of people's budgets and paychecks going toward that rent? What are the risks associated with that long term?
So there are a lot of risks. As we know, the reason why we want to encourage home ownership is because home ownership is one of the main ways in which people develop wealth. That's how they develop their assets. They develop wealth. Wealth is just very important. Income is very important, but wealth is even more important. Those are the assets that we use to help the next generation, to set them up, to launch them. There are many reasons. The other reason is that when people own their homes, they are more likely to take better care of them. And there's a difference in terms of the quality of housing stock when they're owned by the people that live in them. But in terms of the percentages, yeah, we're really concerned about, you asked about the percentage of income that is spent on housing. So we use a 30% cutoff. So we call them their housing cost burdened if they spend more than 30% of their income on housing. And about at least half of all renters are cost burdened, meaning they're spending more than 30% of their income. And actually about a quarter of all renters spend more than 50% of their income on housing, meaning that they're severely cost burdened. If anything goes wrong, they get sick, they lose a job, they're injured, and typical life circumstances, they are at high risk of getting evicted, frankly.
And some factors, obviously, inflation is also helping to contribute to this. What are some other factors that are increasing the number of renters?
Right. So home ownership is getting more and more out of reach for a lot of Houstonians. In particular, for many years and decades, in fact, the median home price was about 3 times the average year's wages. But it was like that for many decades, but now it's 5 times. So the median home price is about 5 times more than the average salary. That's a big jump, and especially in a relatively short amount of time. So we know that home ownership is increasingly out of reach. Another potential factor that we're looking into right now is the increasing percentage of single-family homes that are owned by institutional investors. So these are companies and corporations that are buying single-family homes. And in the state of Texas, we have one of the highest percentage of single-family homes that are owned by these institutional investors, about 28%. The reason why we're monitoring this is because there does seem to be an association between an increase in the number and the percentage of homes that are owned by these institutional investors and a decrease in home ownership. It also seems to be associated with an increase in eviction filing rates.
Interesting. So you think about your average neighborhood, your community in Houston, and you can go to the HCAT if you're in Houston and look at your block and look at your neighbors, and you may see a company, an LLC,
Right.
that owns a property in your neighborhood, and to your point, that's probably a rental of some kind, and that's where it begins. That's where the problem begins. That first home gets purchased, the next one. And I think we saw this with COVID, right? Some of the big companies came in and just started buying up properties because they were the only ones that could afford it in some cases.
And so we need to do more research looking into that to understand why that seems to be the case. We just know at this point there's an association there. We're not sure that there's a causal effect, but we are monitoring it because there are studies that have been done in other cities, such as Atlanta, that have found that a really strong association there.
And Ruth, what are some solutions that that we can talk about for families here in the Greater Houston area?
That's a great question. So we administer several surveys every year at the Kinder Institute. In the first quarter of every year, we administer the Kinder Houston Area Survey, and in subsequent quarters, we administer other special topic surveys where we ask residents about many of these issues. And one of the things that we have heard from residents is that they really want to see more programs that support, for example, rental assistance programs. They want to see more down payment assistance programs, more home repair assistance programs. Those are the types of efforts. They exist. But our respondents are saying they want to see more of that, and that they really believe that that can really make a big difference in giving them that nudge that they need to be able to own a home. On the supply side, of course, we need to do a better job of making sure that the housing stock that is available for those on the lower end of the income distribution is there, because we know that there's a really high demand. And of course, making sure that it's a good quality. Just because it's more affordable, it doesn't mean it still has to be safe, and and we're also monitoring. We're doing some research studies right now. The Kinder Institute is partnering with the Houston Housing Authority to look at the use of housing vouchers to see how we can maximize the educational outcomes for the children in those families using those housing vouchers. So there's a lot that we can do, but we definitely need to keep an eye on it, be aware of it, and make sure that we are doing everything that we can to make sure that we're providing these housing opportunities in an affordable manner for everyone.
And for people that want to learn more about some of the surveys and studies that you do, I know you have a luncheon coming up. Where can people find out more?
Yes, so I would definitely encourage everyone to join us on May 20th for the Kinder Institute's annual luncheon, where we'll share out the findings for this year's Kinder Houston Area Survey. But of course, we will post all our research reports. Everything is available to the public on our website. Just go to kinder.rice.edu.
Now, people don't know this. We met at a Houston Habitat for Humanity luncheon, and when I first heard Ruth López Turley speak, she gave a keynote presentation that was fantastic. That's why we brought her here today, to show you what she's talking about and get you guys in contact if you want to learn more. And also a pitch for Habitat, because we love that organization too.
That's right.
Ruth López Turley, thanks for coming in and sharing with us today.
Thank you.
Really
Thank you,
appreciate it.
Ruth.